Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
Welcome. Robert Kolbe, Sioux Falls, dressed hopefully in anticipation of spring one of these first weeks. I wish to give the mayor kudos because I saw him down at the county commission meeting this morning, and to get a mayor to come to the county building was one thing that hasn't happened in many, many years unless there was a joint meeting of the city and county, and sometimes that was difficult to get the some of our city leadership down there to just be on site. I was gratified to see the dealing with the historic preservation here. Having the opportunity to be on the State Historical Society Board of Trustees, we get the chance and opportunity to approve historic designations for many of the structures that are throughout the state, but many of them also here in Sioux Falls. Other than myself, Jeff Hazard also happens to be on that board. I used to have arguments with Mayor Shermer. Some of you may remember him. Some of you are old enough, maybe. That people would come to South Dakota not for our opera or ballet. They came because they wanted to see cowboys, Indians, and old stuff. Historic preservation is important not only for tourism, but what do you do when you go elsewhere? You go to a museum, you go to an art gallery, you go for an idea of what that culture was in that particular community. I heard something that you were dealing with the county recently, talking about a flyover and, doing site, what would you call it, looking at the city. I hope that what I heard wasn't right. Said that the city wanted to do it because they wanted to do it when it looked pretty. Well, it's interesting because at the disposal and a lot cheaper, you have Google Earth, you have Eros Data Center that can get you some pretty relevant photographs, and worst comes to worst, you can get a drone to do a flyover of a specific area that you might be interested in. One of the things that will be confronting the city and the county and the state of South Dakota in the near future is the Zika virus. We've spent a lot of time and money in pesticides or trying to kill mosquitoes, and we haven't done the green way of doing it. When you spray, you can't spray because it's too windy. You don't want to spray when there's going to be rain and it'll wash this stuff off. And then you still have the little critters, the mosquitoes coming in from the neighboring area and may not be exposed to the spray. Zika is going to be even more of a concern for us other than the West Nile, because once it gets into the system, once it gets into our population, we will diminish the number of people who will die from it, but it'll still be in our environment. The Zika is really going to be something. And the green thing that I would suggest that the city and the county and the state get involved in, and this is one thing people will react to and say, ugh, bats. Bats eat their weight in mosquitoes at least once a week. And so a bat may only be 3 or 4 ounces. How many mosquitoes does it take to make 3 or 4 ounces? Bats fly every night. They aren't washed away with the rain. They aren't blown away with the wind. And it would be something that would be environmentally friendly and would show that the city, the county, and the state were interested in green environmental solutions to problems. With that, I thank you, and I hope that those of you who are on the city council, in your swan song, I hope you have had an enjoyable experience and you continue to be involved in community service. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Tim Stanga, Sioux Falls. When I'm out and about every day, I talk to a lot of people, realizing how many people really watch Channel 16. There's a good following. But I also try to tell people that to get more people to start watching Channel 16 to realize what really goes on in this town. A lot of people are disgusted with what happens up in Washington. They say that Washington is broken, doesn't listen to the people. But you know, people are starting to get smart. They're starting to realize that this city's broken, that nobody's listening to them. It seems like every time they turn around, they either got to pay for something that they don't need or that they don't want, or their bills go up. And they're starting to realize that they're going to have to get more involved. And I told them, I said, how do you get involved? You either come down to the city council meeting or you talk to your friends. Let them know what's going on. So that way they can tell their friends what's going on. And start to realize that how do we change Sioux Falls? How do we change on the direction? How do we change the mentality on realizing that there are people that are suffering in this town? I didn't realize that there was 1,000 kids living out of their cars. And it just amazes me. But I told people, I said, you got to get involved. You've got to do stuff. You got to get out and vote. I said, that's the only way you're going to change this city. And then they asked me about the new administration building. Do we need one? I went over to the 300 building. I walked around it. I went inside of it, rode the elevator up, walked through the hallways. What is wrong with the 300 building? Would the city have to go in and remodel the whole building? No. They could move right in there. If they need parking inside, just to park vehicles inside, KSFY has a garage, and supposedly they're going to be moving. So we could renovate that part of the building and make it to hold the vehicles that we need. And plus, you're able to make the citizens money because you have tenants that you don't have to kick out. But a new administration building is pretty, it's new, we'll have 2 floors that, well, there won't be anybody in, and, well, supposedly maybe the county might work with us. But looking at the 300 building, you're saving money. You're making the citizens money because you're able to lease out portions of it. And they ask me, well, what's wrong with that? So I tell them, call the mayor. Call some of the city council people that voted to bring this thing out and just keep it going instead of voting it down. Ask these people. Why wouldn't the 300 building work versus a new administrative building? And if I have to, I'll start getting everybody's phone number. I'll write it down on a piece of paper, and I'll hand it to every person that I talk to. So that way they can make phone calls. I might even make the phone call for them so they can talk and find out what kind of a song they're going to get on why a brand new administration building would be great versus buying a building that's already here. We can save the people a lot of money. So maybe what we should do is look at how we're doing the administration building, buy something that we can afford to get into, make the taxpayers some money instead of costing us money, and making a good deal instead of a bad deal.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Welcome.
Greetings. I'm David Zokaitis, and I'm interested in civil rights, as we all know. Anyway, last city council meeting, I briefly saw a city ordinance, and I was really surprised at what I saw. And then when I went home and double checked, I was like really astonished. So let's all read what I read. I'll give everybody a moment to read that.
David, go ahead, please.
All right, so City Ordinance 117.030, there it is. It violates our Constitution and the Fifth Amendment. Double jeopardy in particular is the first offense. Now, according to the prohibition against double jeopardy, if you commit one crime, there's one law, there's one trial, there's one penalty. But not according to the city ordinance. Your permit can be revoked if you have a parking violation in Arkansas, because that's a ordinance of some city somewhere. So right from the get-go, we've got a problem with being put in jeopardy twice for one offense. And then there's a problem with due process of law. Due process means that, well, the government has to go through a process before they can punish you. There has to be a law, there has to be some kind of breaking the law, there's got to be a trial, or maybe a hearing. And then if all of that, if you're convicted, then, the police are free to deprive you of your life or your freedom or your permit. But not according to this ordinance. It's like, if they think they have good cause, there goes your permit, in violation of due process. And when I read that last little clause, I was particularly astonished. Or for other good cause. Now, that's kind of a dangerous thing to put in city ordinance. So if you have, for example, a contrived example, if you have an egomaniacal police officer and you don't polish his shoes well enough, to him, that's good cause, and there goes your permit. So that particular clause should probably get yanked. All right, now, on the plus side, the people I'm addressing probably didn't write this. I think this is an old ordinance, so to a certain extent, you're off the hook. And as a complete change of tone here, I'd like to commend yonder city attorney. I gave the city yeah, really? I can do that? I can commend the city attorney, yeah. I gave the city a call and talked about this briefly, and a few days later, Keith Allenstein gave me a call back, and we talked about these particular concerns. So, hey, that's really good. And with that, I'll bid you all a good night.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Bruce Danielson, Sioux Falls. It's good to see all these happy faces in the room tonight. It's kind of nice to see so many people here. Because I've got something that I've been wanting to talk about for a couple of weeks, and I'm just going to do part of it tonight. There's more coming. But, have you ever asked for something and you get all the wrong stuff? Here is what I asked for, supposedly. And I received it from the city clerk's office. It was mailed to me, not to the address that I had enclosed that things be mailed to. I had to drive about 10 miles out of my way to go pick it up at a drop box facility because I do not receive mail at my home. It's been well stated. In fact, when the mayor took me to court and I had to bail myself out of jail and everything for that stupidity. It was also said in court that day when they tried to make a big deal out of the fact that I don't get mail at my home. I haven't received mail at my home for 23 years. I don't know why this city can't follow instructions on where to mail something. So it's real simple. But I started looking at this, and then I end up in this packet, if you want to put that one sheet up there. I get it. I also then, this is the listing of all of the campaign finance reports that have been filed. There's 324 pages here, 10 cents a piece. I get a bill for $32.40. None of this is what I asked for. I asked for the originals, not the copies that you can get on the internet. And it made me start really thinking the other day about Tim Stanga's public input back in April 5th, I believe, where he talked about why we wanted the campaign finance reports. And we were waiting for them. And that was Tuesday. They were supposed to be in on Thursday. So, okay, I have these. We're getting ready to study them. As every campaign does, prior to the close of the campaign, we want to see what we're up against. I get this garbage, and then we see this ridiculous path to broken state open records laws. What we were looking for, you can go ahead and put the next two things up. What we were trying to do was look at who's been making donations. First one we started working on was John Paulson's. Sorry, John, but this is where we started with. And we see right away, Rex Rolfing had decided in January 6th to give funds out of his campaign account. Then as we get going down through there, we see a few other things. We notice that at the top, we see the mayor's daughter and her husband gave a contribution. And we go down further, we see Michelle Erpenbach's husband, Steve, gave a contribution. It's really interesting how some of these joint checking accounts and so on skirt the essence of that, the Hatch Act and the laws that are based in Sioux Falls since 1957 on it. So what I'm throwing out here today, and I'm going to come back and talk about this in more detail, is I got a bill, and it cost $14.30 to mail this to me. It wasn't what I asked for. I asked for forms that were unaltered, that met the open records laws. The city can't seem to ever get the open records and open meetings laws correct. We're debating right now about filing an open records complaint because of this. And we know that in several offices in this town, dates are not being put on documents correct. And we're going to get to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Danielson. Appreciate that. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Very good. Welcome.
Broussard, Sioux Falls. I'm very displeased about the police. As you know, the crimes, the killing on 11th Street. We always had prostitution there. I was just there 2 weeks ago, saw 4 prostitutes, walked into Lucky's casino and told the owner, what are you going to do about this? And he said to get out. Mercado's, I was thinking about a sexual assault, not nobody that was going to get a shot to the head over drugs. Let's get that straight, not over a relationship. Then on his Facebook, they're at it on Facebook. I had to call the mayor's office because the police department did not want to take the N-word out of their vocabulary. So then I threatened to hack into the Facebook account, get a hold of these people, and let's start a riot here. We have how many shootings that happened? 18th and Sycamore shot up that car over drugs. You go right there to 11th Street right here, and there's hookers out here on Friday to Sundays like the Las Vegas Strip. Mayor, I understand, but your police chief, it all falls back on you. You got to get your policemen out there. They go from call to call to call. They don't even have time to patrol the streets. I don't care what you say to the media and what the chief of police, that this crime is good for this type of population. No, it's not. Not this type. And then a gang member hit the wrong target of a house and nearly grazed that guy's head because they had the wrong house of a gang member. This is what's happening here in the city. I don't care about no flowers on the boulevard. I don't care about let's make city ordinances right or this, that. We got to come to these issues. If we have a riot here, if I decide let's take over the streets, And let's take over City Hall because they need it, because the citizens are tired of this. And let's call in other people from other states to take over this because of the racism and the stuff going on, and the police is not doing their job. You're going to have to call the governor because you're not going to know how to act. You never seen your City Hall ambushed. But I was very close in ambushing your City Hall when I called your secretary and told her for you to call the police department to get the N-word off of there.
Sierra.
Did the police department ever get that off of there? No, they didn't.
Sierra, I'm going to just calm down, stay calm, stay professional, stay productive.
This is as professional as I can get.
No, you can do better. I've seen you, so stay professional. Go ahead.
All of this stuff that is on here from the mayor's office, Mayor Uther, you need to get a hold of your chief of police and start cleaning out these streets here. That's good that there was a shooting. Let them shoot them all. When you're in a gang and you're into drugs, you reap what you sow in life, okay? This is what you get. Could it have been prevented? Possibly, possibly not. If there was police presence out there, this could have been stopped. You drive by there on 11th Street and see the prostitutes hanging out right there. You need to bulldozer that whole place right there and get rid of Mercado's and Lucky's Casino right there. Wiley's, get into Wiley's, gone from bar to bar to bar. Wiley's, 2 police officers, $30 an hour, right? To enforce the law. And what do I get in there? Go into the place, and what are they doing? They're allowing smoking in the building. Enclosed building. Smoking. So I called the police department. Police department goes, checks on it. Said that, yes, there was smoking in there. A week ago later, the police officer says, Sierra, you can't come back in here because you're a troublemaker. So what are those 2 police officers that are off duty doing on patrol when they're allowing smoking when you cannot do it in an inside closed building? Mayor, you need to listen to the people. You need to listen to the crimes out there. Do you understand that the shootings that are happening here, the Arena Motel, they had a murder. They had another one here. 18th, he almost got shut up, but someone heard him yelling and called the police right there on 18th in Minnesota here. 18th and Sycamore. Brookings and Minnesota, they're still back on the street corner selling crack cocaine on the street corner. Where is the police? I can't fault the police. I'm going to fault you and the chief of police because you're not putting the police out there to patrol the streets out there. This is not a threat, and this is a promise here. If I see on Facebook again that your police officer is not taking down this bull crap here from this N-word because of gang member versus gang member and the guy got shot in the head on Lucky's, we're going to hack up into this computer system and justice will be served.
Sierra,
And that's
thank
all
you.
I got to say.
Sierra, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Y'all come back now. Cheers.
What kind of morons run this outfit?